API Plus started like 6 months ago. We started talking about this project. A lot of the early days were just, coming together as a team. I think one of the interesting things is EOS Nation, Greymass, EOS Rio. We've all been around for a long time, but we never really collaborated on a project. So just getting to know each other and how to work together, because the team was formed without a, defined leader, right? So it was a collab. Here, 3 groups, you guys get together, figure it out. We came up with 8 proposals, which some of them have dollar amounts attached to them of what we think needs for that thing. And one of them doesn't have a dollar amount because, well, quite frankly, there was so many options and a way to do it that we wanted more community feedback before picking one of them and then costing that out. We can just go through them kind of high level. APIs have existed in EOS since the beginning. They're really important, but nobody was really defining how they work in relation to how applications use them. So features would come out, new APIs would get written, but there was never a concentrated design process to get developer input, feedback, modify the APIs, come up with new things, whatever, So it was all very ad hoc. Lots of teams did their own thing. We've got different history solutions, or we called them specialized APIs in the paper. What we need going forward is really to consolidate all of that work that's going on and actually come together as a community and try to build a roadmap going forward so we can stop confusing all the developers about which solution they need to use, where they can find the documentation and all of these kinds of things. The first proposal is really, the blue paper is a good start, but we need this going forward to keep talking and, build new community around designing APIs, figuring out what those APIs need to look like. And that's really the proposal one. The second one is a proposal that's already been funded, which is awesome. Based on our conversation with a bunch of developers and users, add some new features to the core software that will make their lives easier. One of the things, for example, if you use Anchor, is it will try to estimate the cost of your transaction. And then, there's a feature that will cover the cost depending on the current situation. But there is no standard API to come up with the cost of a transaction. Well, maybe we should just have one. Isn't that great? Now anybody can use it. Diffuse has a feature to allow an application developer to retry a transaction. Here, I'm going to submit a transaction, keep retrying it until certain conditions are met, and then give me the successful trace of that transaction or give up. That's not a standard feature in Node.js. Let's add that. So these are kind of examples of features that certain teams have in their solutions that would be very useful for multiple developers. So let's put them in the standard software and make them available to everyone. The next proposal is let's support the existing operators. The first proposal is let's design new APIs that are well supported and community led and there's a nice collaboration. But until we get to a point where those kind of APIs fully exist, and we need to support the existing ones. We've got Light API, we have Diffuse, Firehose, Hyperion, and Robo. Robo is also known as the Greymass API. All of these solutions exist. They all have slightly different features. We kind of need to make sure that they stay online while new APIs are built and new features are delivered. Related to that, there's 2 ideas around how do we incentivize or create robust APIs that the developers can rely on. So up till now, everything's relied on block producers. Through their block rewards, we'll provide some APIs, or maybe there's some paid solutions. But, should the network as a whole provide a centralized API solution that says, okay, here's a standard thing. You can go to this website. It's all well documented. You can click on here. You can pay for the access that you need. Maybe that's a thing. Or maybe we should come up with here's an incentive way, pay API providers that are all distributed all over with like the current block producers, but there's a way to pay them. So there's a wide number of options between those 2 things. And that's kind of where I said the funding is a question mark, because we really want to understand from the community where on the chain, which are the continuum of different options do people want to see. And then the last 2 proposals are around supporting blockchain standards. The standards exist in the rest of the blockchain space, not in our blockchain space. In order for us to attract developers, we need to have the APIs that those developers expect that they're used to using on other ecosystems. So we're proposing 2 to get funding, Rosetta and the Graph. I think one of the things that's really important, even if you don't have detailed feedback on any one proposal is to think about which thing is more important than one other thing or has higher priority. Because if we look at API Plus, Audit Plus, Core Plus, and the forthcoming Wallet Plus, there's a lot of different projects here. And it's like impossible to do all of them at once. We just don't have enough people. What's the most important thing out of API Plus that you think? Or what's the one, definitely don't do this, right? So definitely do or definitely don't do, some sort of rank priority is definitely helpful, even if you don't have detailed feedback on the specific proposals. So yeah, we've got 4 solutions. The idea going forward is we should reduce the number of these solutions or reduce the extra features that are in some of the solutions so that we reduce the cost. Right now, maintaining 4 solutions is a high cost. If we only had 1, it would be a lower cost. We can't go from 4 to 1 overnight. We need the architecture and standards research to figure out how do we evolve the existing 4 solutions in a way that gets us to having less. We need to reduce the cost of maintaining this. It's just cost for the maintenance and cost for the developer confusion because there's multiple different solutions. I'm most excited to look at the supporting existing blockchain standards. So that's like Rosetta and the Graph. Looking outside the ES or the EOSIO bubble and thinking in our world, how do we play and we expand into the rest of the blockchain or the Web3 world? To me, that's the most exciting thing.